are going to go out against them. And we're going to seek God in doing so. Here's the test. I'll give you the blanks to write down, and then I'll just share a little bit more about it. But Asa found strength by taking a faith risk. Now, this is awfully cool to me. I think it's very cool. Because, see, Asa knows he doesn't have enough men to win this battle. He even calls himself powerless. So his 580,000 men, compared to whatever it is that Zerah had, is powerless in comparison. He knows he will be defeated unless God helps him. And so, when he goes out to meet the enemy, he's taking a risk, isn't he? I mean, that's a big risk. Notice he goes out first, and then he prays. He goes out first, and then he says, God, all right, here we are. I hope you show up. I hope you help us. See, Asa knows that God had made a promise years and years ago. God made a promise to the people of Israel that if they followed God, he would fight their battles for them. God had already made that promise. So Asa's not marching out in some sense of just, being crazy. Let's go ahead and march out against them, and if God shows up, he shows up, and if he doesn't show up, we're going to get wiped out. No, he's marching out in faith. He's taking this risk based on faith because God has already made a promise. God said, I will fight your battles. And so Asa shows up. And then he says, all right, God, I've shown up. You show up. And then the passage tells us that God does all the rest. I don't know how the battle worked. We're not even told about the details of the battle. We just know God showed up and did something amazing. And so here's the lesson. Asa then gets a lesson from a man in chapter 15. Look at it with me. The Spirit of God came upon Azariah, son of Oded. He went out to meet Asa and said to him, listen to me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin, the Lord is with you when you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. For a long time, Israel was without the true God, without a priest to teach, and without the law. But in their distress, they turned to the Lord, the God of Israel, and sought him, and he was found by them. In those days, it was not safe to travel about, for all the inhabitants of the lands were in great turmoil. One nation was being crushed by another, and one city by another, because God was troubling them on every side with every kind of distress. But as for you, be strong, do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. Here's the lesson. This prophet comes up to Asa and he says, the Lord is with you when you are with him. Such an incredible lesson, and it fits right with the stuff that was going on in Asa's life. They sought God. He gave them peace. He gave them prosperity. There was a test. They succeeded in the test because they sought out God. They relied on God more than on themselves or anyone else. And as a result, they then get this lesson. By the way, here's the voice of God. You are with God, and he is with you. And if you are with God, he will continue to be with you. So look at what Asa does next. It launches us into Asa's phase 2. Phase 2 of Asa's life begins in verse 8. When Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Azariah, son of Oded the prophet, he took courage. He removed the detestable idols from the whole land of Judah and Benjamin. Before it was just Judah. Now he's expanding. He's going to Benjamin too. From the whole land of Judah and Benjamin, and from the towns he had captured in the hills of Ephraim. So the new areas. He repaired the altar of the Lord that was in front of the portico of the Lord's temple. Then he assembled all Judah and Benjamin and the people from Ephraim, Manasseh and Simeon who had settled among them. Check this out. For large numbers had come over to him from Israel, that northern kingdom, when they saw that the Lord his God was with him. They assembled at Jerusalem in the 3rd month of the 15th year of Asa's reign. At that time they sacrificed to the Lord 700 head of cattle, 7,000 sheep, and goats from the plunder they'd brought back. They entered into a covenant to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, with all their heart and soul. All who would not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, were to be put to death. And then the hint, of course, is that no one did get put to death because they all followed, whether small or great, man or woman. They took an oath to the Lord with loud acclamation, with shouting and with trumpets and horns and electric guitars and drums. All Judah rejoiced about the oath because they had sworn it wholeheartedly. They sought God eagerly, and he was found by them. So the Lord gave them rest on every side. They had a commitment Sunday, or probably a Saturday, because they would do it on the Sabbath, and that's Saturday. But they had a commitment day where Asa calls all the people together, and he says, come on, we're going to make a commitment before God and before this whole nation that we are going to seek God and God alone and only God and always God and ever God and never anything but God. And they say, all right, let's do it. And they shout and they make loud sounds and stuff. I think that would have been awesome to be there. Then look at this in verse 16. He does some weird stuff here that I think is really cool. King Asa also deposed his grandmother, Maacah, from her position as queen mother because she had made a repulsive Asherah pole. Asa cut the pole down, broke it up, and burned it in the Kidron Valley. Although he did not remove the high places from Israel. Now check this. He didn't go north into the land of Israel. He stayed among his own people. He expanded as far as people would obey him. You know, everyone who was following him into Ephraim and into Ephraim over here, and then into Judah and Benjamin, and wherever people were following him, he expanded all the way there. But he didn't go up into the northern kingdom. He didn't try to overtake the northern kingdom. But that's okay, it says. It says, although he did not remove the high places from Israel, Asa's heart was fully committed to the Lord all his life. He brought into the temple of God the silver and gold and the articles that he and his father had dedicated. There was no more war until the 35th year of Asa's reign. Here are the bullet points for his life. Asa led the people to seek God even more. Even more. And then they had peace for 25 years. And then there was even more prosperity. Have you ever had that experience where you do something right and then you decide to do it again and do it more fully? When I was a freshman in high school, I had this teacher named Mrs. Hins, and I hated her. Mostly I hated her because she gave me a C+ on the first draft of my term paper that year. She was